Welcome guys. Today I'll actually have a non-Warface video for you. Today we'll be talking about Hurdle Simulator 2016. The footage playing is The Division, which at this point I believe you can get the joke that is happening here. So the term I'm coining here comes from how you spend a lot of time leaping over walls, and even more so if you have parkour mode on. And this is all to get to the areas to shoot up the bad guys like Animal and Torch, but the potential high-end gear and div tech drops. For those that don't know, there is a lot of running in Hurdle Simulator 2016, which is fine for the style of game that they are wanting to create. They aren't trying to make a Borderlands, where it is a huge run and gun spectacle, nor is it a turn-based combat simulator. They have pushed for a slower shooter experience with an RPG tinge to it. In fact, they avoid the MMO tag despite being able to have it slapped all over it. I think they've crafted a very good play experience, where you have all the time in the world to think about your plans, then enact them, while in a real-time environment. I personally even think it works very well for the PvP in the Dark Zone. The Division does have nice protected shootouts, with 4 vs 4 Dark Zone action while not feeling drawn out. Unfortunately, the real letdown of the game is the in-game gear. As I alluded to earlier, you spend a lot of time running around enjoying New York City as if some eccentric characters were allowed to try to reproduce with it. In the Dark Zone, you have set areas where bad guys will spawn and proceed to legally gun them down as you are now the law. This is where the issues start to occur. The high-end drops are very few and in between, which you think would be a good thing, as you certainly don't want a game flooded with 2 super easy to gear up issues, particularly when it is new. You want to feel a sense of progression, which is usually the greatest motivation to play any game. But when they do drop, they have a very wide array of stats that can drop on them, and I mean a lot. For example, Armor has 4 tiers of stat distribution: primary, major, minor, skill, and high-end also has gear talents which come from a pool of up to 4. This is a lot of absolutely random stat distribution on a very rare drop system. If anyone has ever played Diablo 3 when it first got released, it is very painful. In an attempt to complement or band-aid this system, they have a rather blanket coverage of blueprints to craft high-end gear, the primary attribute of all the gear you could be wanting, which on face value is a great start. But when you craft the gear, you have 4 other attribute tiers and possible talents to RNG with. So you might get a couple of skill attribute slots that don't affect any of the skills that you're using, and let's be honest, that is one of the best case scenarios. On face value, the system could be pushing more of a progress how you want system, which I believe it is, which is great in some ways. The huge downside of this though, is now that the random high-end drops are just basically materials to grind down for the progress as you want system. To add fuel to this fire, there is a rare crafting material called high-end division tech, which can only be reliably acquired from certain chests with a random chance, which then also flows on as a bottleneck for the crafting. The chests have a chance to drop multiple tiers, but any tier lower than the high end of this material can only be crafted into any other high-end material, so this leaves high-end division tech to be only found as a random drop. So this is where I feel it all breaks down. As I've said a few times, Diablo 3 has been through a lot of teething issues. As with Diablo 3 and the Division, if the path of least resistance is to go around mobs to get better gear, players will do it. As our current outfit does this, we search for div tech chests for gear growth and engage as little as possible. The problem, you'll ask? Well, ask the PvPer in the Dark Zone why there is no gear to acquire from other players. Ask the guy that wants to lay down the law. Ask the person who enjoys enemy mob drops. It all takes away from the game on multiple levels. There are obviously many ways to encourage and fix flaws like this. Obvious one is to increase div tech drops from the named bosses, as it will then push more people together. But there are many other ways to fix this, and we can expand upon this another time. As our outfit is currently enjoying Hurdle Simulator a lot right now, we will be staying with the game as it grows and changes, and this is usually an enjoyable process. So on that note everyone, peace out.